Hi everybody. In the last class we were discussing about the black body spectrum, and we saw the black body spectrum as a distribution in frequency like this. So this graph shows the black body spectrum. On the x-axis I have taken the frequency, and on the y-axis the spectral energy density. So this shows how the energy in the black body radiation is spread over the different frequencies. So the problem in classical physics was why the black body spectrum have the shape shown in this figure. Why it is taking this shape? How we can explain it? So that was a problem in the classical physics then. The Lord Rayleigh and James Jeans, while several others tried to explain the black body spectrum, Lord Rayleigh and James Jeans, they were successful partially in explaining this black body spectrum. They examined it and tried to explain it based on the classical calculations or the laws of classical physics. What they did was they considered the radiation inside the cavity at a temperature T. We are keeping the cavity at temperature T, so the radiation inside the cavity that will be at a temperature T, because the radiation is in thermal equilibrium with the cavity, the walls of the cavity. So they considered the radiation inside the cavity at the temperature T as a series of standing electromagnetic waves. Standing waves, because the electromagnetic radiation produced inside the cavity undergoes multiple reflections inside the cavity. So they form a kind of a series of standing electromagnetic waves. This is actually a three-dimensional generalization of the standing waves formed on a stretched string. We have a stretched string of length L, which is fixed between two ends, fixed ends, and we know it can vibrate only in certain modes, certain wavelengths at certain frequencies. These particular wavelengths or frequencies are called modes. So such waves, standing waves formed on string, these are examples for one-dimensional standing waves. Now the cavity, inside the cavity we have such several three-dimensional standing waves formed. So we can imagine that the cavity is filled with many electromagnetic standing waves. Okay. Now the condition for standing wave is such that the path length from wall to wall, okay, path length from, this is the cavity, so path length from wall to wall, from one point to another point on the cavity, inside the cavity, the path length from wall to wall, whatever be the direction, that must be whole number of half wavelengths. Like here we know for the first mode the length L is a length. The for this case we know the lambda by 2 is equal to L. This is half of the wavelength, so lambda by 2 is equal to L, or lambda is equal to 2L. Okay, then nodes occur at these ends. Okay, nodes are occurring at these ends, and here we know the lambda is equal to L. Okay, lambda is equal to L. This is the second mode possible. For this, the wavelength is L, and for this, the lambda, we know the 3 lambda by 2. We have 3 half wavelengths here. So 3 lambda by 2 is equal to L. Okay, so lambda is equal to 2 by 3 L. Okay, sorry, 2L by 3. So these are the various possible wavelengths or the frequencies. The same way for the standing waves to be formed inside the cavity, the path length from wall to wall, okay, path length from wall to wall, that must be whole number of half wavelengths. Okay, so nodes occur at the reflecting surface. Why? Here the reason is the electric field must vanish inside the conductor. This is made up of metal, usually this is made up of metal, and the electric field should vanish inside the conductor. Okay, so nodes occur at the cavity walls. So the number of standing waves with frequencies in between nu and nu plus d nu. So various frequencies, various modes are possible, and what we are doing here is we calculate the number of standing waves with frequencies between nu and nu plus d nu, a frequency spread d nu, that we can calculate, that we are not doing for the time being, that is equal to n of nu d nu. Okay, the number of standing waves with frequencies between nu and nu plus d nu, that is given by 8 pi v nu square d nu over c cube. So note that here we are considering a three-dimensional standing wave formation in the cavity. So that this is 8 pi v, v is the volume of the cavity, nu square d nu over c cube. So the density of standing waves, if we divide this by with the volume, we will get the number of standing waves per unit volume in the frequency interval nu to nu plus d nu. That is given by g of nu d nu equal to 8 pi nu square d nu over c cube. Okay, so in the derivation of this law using classical calculation, the first step or the first thing that we assume is radiation or the cavity is filled with the electromagnetic standing waves. Okay, so using that assumption, in the second step we calculate the number of standing waves with frequencies in between nu and nu plus d nu in the nu plus d nu, that is equal to this, and from that we calculate the density of the standing waves. It is the number of modes, number of frequencies between the frequency interval nu to d nu per unit volume. So here what we see is it's proportional to nu square. So as the frequency increases, the density of the modes, the density of the standing waves, that also increases as the square of the frequency. The next step is to find the average energy per standing wave. So actually it is here we use the classical calculation, the average energy per standing wave. We know how many standing waves are there per unit volume. Now we want to know how much energy is there in each standing wave. Okay, that we can calculate from the classical thermodynamics or the theorem of equipartition of energy. So this theorem is part of the classical thermodynamics, very important theorem in classical mechanics, classical thermodynamics. What it says is the average energy per degree of freedom of an entity in a system, that is member of a system. The entity can be an atom or molecule or something like that. The average energy per degree of freedom, that is given by half kT, where T is the temperature at which the entity is in thermal equilibrium. So the average energy per degree of freedom of an entity that is a member of a system, okay, that is given by half kT, okay, per degree of freedom. So what is this degree of freedom here? We know the radiation is reflected from the walls. The standing waves are formed through the reflection of the radiation. Now the radiation is reflected from the walls because it is absorbed and quickly re-emitted by the atoms of the walls. Okay, that's why this reflection happens. There are atoms on the cavity walls. As the radiation reaches the wall, the atoms on the wall, on the cavity walls, they also oscillate, vibrate harmonically. Okay, so as the radiation is absorbed and quickly re-emitted, that is actually the reflection, the atoms on the walls in the process oscillate at the frequency of the radiation. So atoms on the walls of the cavity are oscillating at the frequency of the radiation. An oscillating atom is a one-dimensional harmonic oscillator. Okay, an oscillating atom is a one-dimensional harmonic oscillator which has 2 degrees of freedom. Okay, it has 2 degrees of freedom. One that corresponds to kinetic energy and that corresponds to potential energy. So a one-dimensional harmonic oscillator has actually 2 degrees of freedom. It's actually a form of energy. It has got kinetic energy and potential energy. So we say it has got 2 degrees of freedom. So average energy per atom, okay, average energy per atom or per standing wave, that is given by 2 into half kT. Why the 2? Because the atom has 2 degrees of freedom corresponding to kinetic energy and potential energy. So 2 into half kT, that is equal to kT. So the classical average energy per standing wave, okay, classical average energy per standing wave, that is equal to kT. So this is equal to kT. So all these things, all these 3 steps that we have seen, now we put all these things together, all these ingredients together, then calculate the energy density in the cavity in the frequency interval nu to nu plus d nu. Okay, so this is u of nu d nu, that is the number of standing waves per unit volume, which is the density of the standing waves, into energy per standing wave. So we are calculating the energy density in the frequency interval nu to nu plus d nu, that is the number of standing waves in the frequency interval nu to nu plus d nu per unit volume into energy per the standing wave. So u of nu d nu, that is equal to g of nu d nu into kT, and g of nu d nu, that we know, that is equal to 8 pi nu square d nu over c cube. So that we plug in here. Okay, so you have this u of nu d nu, the spectral energy distribution, as equal to 8 pi kT nu square d nu over c cube. So this equation contains everything that classical physics can tell about the spectrum of blackbody radiation. So this is the formula that Rayleigh and Jeans obtained. So this is called Rayleigh-Jeans formula, which tells everything about the classical physics can tell about the spectrum of blackbody radiation. So here we see the spectral energy density is proportional to the square of the frequency. So it depends on the square of the frequency. So as frequency increases, here we say as the frequency increases, what happens? The spectral energy density also increases. So as frequency increases towards the ultraviolet end of the spectrum, ultraviolet end means the frequency is very high, the energy density should also increase as mu square. And in the limit of high frequencies, u of nu d nu, that should also go to infinity. So if the frequency is infinity, if it is very large, u of nu d nu, that also should go to infinity. Okay, but in reality what happens? The energy density and the radiation rate, okay, energy density and the radiation rate, we know the radiation inside the cavity, the sample of the radiation inside the cavity is coming out through the hole, so that is being radiated, that is the blackbody radiation. So the properties of the radiation emitted, blackbody radiation emitted, that is identical to the properties of the radiation inside the cavity. So in reality, as the energy density as nu tends to infinity in the blackbody spectrum, experimentally what we observe is as nu tends to infinity, as nu is very high, very large, the u of nu d nu actually tends to 0. Okay, u of nu d nu, the spectral energy density tends to 0. But according to this formula, the Rayleigh-Jeans formula, what we see as in the limit of infinitely high frequencies, u of nu d nu tends to infinity, because u of nu d nu is proportional to nu square. So there is a discrepancy between the experimental and theoretical curve. this discrepancy, that is theoretically u of nu d nu tends to infinity as nu tends to infinity. In reality, what we observe is u of nu d nu tends to 0 as nu tends to infinity. So there is a discrepancy, and this discrepancy occurs in the ultraviolet end of the spectrum at high frequencies. The lower frequencies, the Rayleigh-Jeans formula almost closely agrees with the experimental curve. Okay, the problem occurs, or the discrepancy occurs in the high frequencies or in the ultraviolet frequencies. So this discrepancy is known as the ultraviolet catastrophe.